All right, everybody, we're going to get started here shortly. I just want to remind you that we do these things for you. So if you have any questions, if you want to chat about some things, we do have a moderated or monitored at the very least chat and Q&A. You can do that directly here in the Zoom call. If you ask a question and we don't know the answer off the top of our head, or we don't get to it, we will follow up with you after we are done here today with the presentation. But like I said, we want this to be conversational. We've got a lot of stuff to run through because we've got a lot of time, but not a lot of time between now and the holidays, especially holiday shopping weekend proper. So we're going to go through this and hopefully give you some inspiration for your own holiday season initiatives. But first and foremost, I want to introduce myself and my esteemed coworker, Kennedy Garland. Kennedy, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do here at Emfluence, and what's your favorite marketing channel?
Oh, big surprise. I wonder what it's going to be. Well, my name is Kennedy Garland. Hello to everybody. I'm an email strategist here at Emfluence, and obviously my favorite channel is email, and I'm super excited to talk to you all today.
It's email is your favorite? Whoa. And Natalie just popped in the chat and she says, I am here to answer those questions. Natalie is our marketing director and general Swiss Army knife of marketing knowledge. So you are in good hands in there, and we will pass along all the questions to Kennedy and myself. I am Corey Lagrange. I'm the director of digital strategy here at Emfluence. And I would say my favorite marketing channel is direct mail. Only half joking. I really do love direct mail. Well executed direct mail just touches my heart. I really do love it. So we won't be talking much, if any, about direct mail today, but we will be talking about how you can create a digital marketing strategy for record-setting holiday sales. And I know the first thing you're probably thinking right now is, why are we already talking about the holidays? It is just July. Don't we have plenty of time to prepare? Well, if Walmart and Hobby Lobby already have Christmas stuff out, then it's time for you to start preparing for the holidays too. It is not too early. In fact, if you're waiting for the Thanksgiving weekend to kick off your holiday initiatives, you are missing out big time. In 2020, consumers were polled by Deloitte, and they were asked, when are you most likely to begin your holiday shopping? And these were users and consumers in the US. So you see here, only 22% of individuals said on or after the Thanksgiving period. Look at the most common response, before the end of October. That's 61% of individuals polled were planning to start their holiday shopping before Thanksgiving and even before October. 2% of weirdos said that they would start holiday shopping in January. You missed the boat, and I hope you're spending up because you got some splaining to do, in the immortal words of Ricky Ricardo. So people are shopping early. They want offers. They want to get ahead of the 8 ball. At least that is what they're expressing. So let's give the people what they want. And they back it up with their dollars. So you see here, when we're looking at these timeframes, when people plan to spend their money doing holiday shopping, 61% of them plan to shop before Thanksgiving. And that is the largest segment, individual segment of spending of the entire holiday shopping season. $1,600 on average. And you see, a lot of people, you would imagine they're doing some crunch time buying last minute in December. That's actually the lowest spending segment of the holiday shopping season. So if you aren't planning on jumping in sooner rather than later, you are really behind the 8 ball on the holiday planning, because people want to spend, people want to start shopping, and that's where they're really voting with their dollars, is before the end of October. So don't get caught getting the scraps of people's budgets if you're starting only on holiday weekend. So let's talk a little bit about how digital really influences the holiday shopping season. Now, in your own mind, you might be thinking, okay, well, this is pretty obvious, right? I know how digital influences holiday shopping. There's e-commerce, there's all the marketing and all of that. But there are actually some ways that you would be surprised that digital actually influences these holiday purchase decisions. So we know digital and brick and mortar both have their place in the consideration process. So it's really best if you have both of those avenues at your disposal, you need to start planning for both. I know a lot of times it can be tempting to say, hey, I'm a brick and mortar, I'm planning my in-store things, and my digital is just going to support that, right? I'm just going to supplement or broadcast what we're doing in store with the digital piece or digital component. That's really not the best way to go about it, because whenever we take a look at consumers researching behaviors, which right now we are in this phase, people are researching and starting to think about, what am I doing this holiday season? Is it going to be TVs? Is it going to be electronics? Is it going to be game consoles? Is it going to be clothing, knickknacks, X, Y, and Z? They're starting to get those wheels turning. There's a lot of different places that they can turn to for research. Obviously, a lot of this really starts online, but this is really a shift from what we used to see, in the common conversation where we used to say that, oh, well, brick and mortar places like Best Buy or Walmart are really just Amazon's showroom where people go and they look and they find what they want and then they go and they buy it online. That was the generally accepted flow of how people made purchase decisions. But we're seeing that that's really not the case anymore. The second most common way that people start a search to start their holiday research going is through search engines, 54%. It's only second to online retailers like the Amazons, Walmart.com, Alibaba, if that's, where you are. A lot of these different moving parts, people are doing their research online, doing an additional round of research in retail stores. You see here 47%, but they're also doing more research on those retailers' websites and mobile apps. And we know that now on Amazon and now on Walmart.com, it's not limited just to those individual Amazon sellers or the Walmart actual distribution. There are individuals selling in each of those platforms. So making sure that you're thinking about the flow of your customers' research activities is really important before we even start jumping into things like promotions and what we're going to offer and what flashy ad buys we're going to do. Starting to get in the headspace of your customers is where we really want to be right now. And you'll see that of all of the different generations, from Gen Z all the way to baby boomers, all of them are really starting and preferring their research to be done online, digitally. It's really only seniors where they are doing their initial research in retail stores. And there's some interesting dynamics that we'll jump into around those individual age brackets a little bit later. But really and truly, at the end of the day, 64% of shoppers use stores or those websites for researching. But web search and search engines have an opportunity to overtake that, because people are using that even more than any other single individual channel. So it's important to really keep in mind being discoverable at this stage and making sure that you have a plan for that. And over the years, we've seen a shift in people's intentions on how they plan to shop, how they plan to split those budgets between digital and in-store brick and mortar. And you'll see here, since 2015, the intention has mirrored, where each year the intent to shop online has grown and the intent to shop in-store has decreased. So you see, it is just a mirror image where now people are planning to do the majority of their shopping online, 61% of people. Only 39% plan to do it in store. And that is just diametrically different than what we saw just a few short years ago. And we know how quickly things can change. Now, remember, that said, where people plan to do their shopping between digital and brick and mortar. Whenever we look at where they're actually spending their money between online and in retail, we see that there's, sort of a different story here with only 35% of all actual revenue being spent online versus 64.8 going to brick and mortar overall spending. So people's intentions are there to shop online, but a lot of times they do end up doing that shopping in brick and mortar. So there are definitely opportunities for both. And one of the things that I want to point out is if you're a marketer like me and you think about trends in generational marketing and advertising and how millennials respond, how Gen X responds, how boomers respond, the ever elusive Gen Z has once again thrown a wrench in our conventional wisdom, because you'll see here that with the exception of the greatest generation, they do the least shopping online. They want that in-store experience. They are the second highest age bracket to do the shopping in store and the second lowest age bracket to do that research and do that purchasing online, which is counterintuitive to what we would imagine and what we would guess, right? We think young, tech savvy, born in digital and born deeply in digital. These are individuals who are born with algorithms tracking them from the day that they're born, right? We merely adopted the technology. They were born into it. There's so much that we assume and take for granted especially when it comes to the holidays and purchasing behaviors, that we've really got to take a step back and consider what is just this faux conventional wisdom and what we really need to be looking at to get the answers for where we should be focusing our time and effort. So this is just a shining example of that. If your industry was like any of the other industries that we see, globally, COVID definitely had an impact on the holidays, right? It had an impact on travel. It had an impact on where and how much we spent for the holidays, who we spent time with for the holidays. And you would guess that as a result, holiday overall spending would be down. But in fact, that was not the case. Even despite COVID, year over year holiday revenue still increased in 2020. Almost at the same rate that it increased in 2019, which is incredible to see. And you'll see that the only year that saw a year over year decrease in retail holiday sales was the terrible downturn that we had in 2008. So what this is meant to communicate is that I don't want you guys going into the holidays assuming that this is going to be, a tough sledding holiday season because COVID is still here and upon us, right? So knowing that there is still opportunity for revenue growth, that we have still observed revenue growth year after year after year since 2008, there is hope that we can still continue to raise our revenue numbers and grow business during the holiday season. Because after all, this is Christmas. It's the season of perpetual hope, right? All we've got to do is do a little bit of planning. But if you're like me before I started this project, and like I'm sure a lot of you before you started coming up with a plan, it can be pretty unclear on where you should begin. Where do you place your efforts? Where do you put your emphasis? Where do you spend your money? So in keeping with Home Alone, let's build a battle plan. Let's get to the holiday season and grow revenue like we never have before. We could do that in a few different ways that we'll cover today. There's 5 different ways. Yeah, 5. Yeah, thanks, man. 5 ways. The first is by taking a look at our website, our offers, and our internal operations. Another is through email marketing, Kennedy's absolute favorite marketing channel. And I think it's Natalie's too. I think she's more on the CRM love side of things, but she loves some email marketing too, as I'm sure you all do. SEO, search engine optimization, making sure that we are discoverable and that we are landing people in the best places possible. Social, and then through paid advertising. All of these are ways that we can take a step back, take a look at what we're doing, and figure out ways to just do things better. So let's start with our website, our offers, and operations internally as we get ready for the holiday season. So the first place that I want you guys to focus and really turn your sites now is focusing on the user experience and the user interface of your website. Like right now, for most e-commerce brands and most direct-to-consumer brands, this is not necessarily the busiest time of year, right? We've got vacations, we've got kids about to get ramped up for back to school in August. I can't believe that's already here. It's almost August. Good Lord, help us. Um, so now is a time where you can really turn your sites onto improving and leveling up the baseline of your website and making sure that things are in good working order for the inevitable influx of heavy holiday traffic. So making sure things like your site speed is up to par. Site speed, in not so many terms, is now a direct ranking consideration for Google organic search. There's it's a turn towards usability and increasing the level of usability of websites, where previously it was a suggestion, a best practice. Now they're actively turning their sites on positive user experience as a ranking signal. So we really need to double down on things like site speed, like I mentioned here, making sure that we don't have broken links within our website, because the last thing that we want somebody to do is be really invested in browsing our site. They're digging in, they're 8, 9, 10 pages deep and just finding all kind of great stuff. And then they hit a roadblock, which is a broken link on a page that you haven't updated in quite a long time. So doing an audit of all of your internal links, and there's a ton of different software that's free or virtually free that can scan your site and look for broken links. Making sure that those are all fixed before the holiday makes sure that you don't have any dead ends from a technical perspective on your website when people are really in the thick of it. And making sure that your site can actually handle and continue to serve under the increased weight of growing holiday traffic. I've seen a ton of global brands have their websites taken down by a holiday promo or initiative that just went really well. And to borrow the phrase from Reddit, that website just gets hugged to death. So many people want in that they kill the site. And the last thing that you want to do is have a dead end whenever all eyes are on you, right? So making sure that you are ramped up and ready for the holiday, that's one of the things to focus on. Another is taking a look at your built-in site search. Now, I know not every website has site search built in. If it's a shallow site, not too many secondary, tertiary, fourthiary, whatever the word for that is, pages deep, but making sure that if you do have site search enabled on your site, whether you're e-commerce or a service brand, any of the above, making sure that if site search is there, that it is returning results in a way that's intuitive to the user. So making sure that, okay, well, if I'm a service brand and my site search returns pages and blog posts and media and X, Y, and Z and PDFs and images with alt text that all include the keyword that's being searched in here, and they're all just kind of jumbled in there by most recently published, that's not going to produce a positive search experience for that user who is on your site. So you probably want to do some refining of that, make sure that the things that are most logical to show up at the top are showing up at the top, and really doubling down on that. Cleaning up your site navigation and making sure that all of your calls to action are clear, that we don't have any pages where we're getting people hyped up, they are ready, and then there's nothing for me to do after this other than try to find where I call somebody on your site. Making sure that we shore all of that up is going to be incredibly important before we even start planning promotions. And when you are ready to start planning promotions, you should really think about what the things that you have to offer are. And immediately, as a marketer and an advertiser, my head goes right to, what can we offer as a promo code? How deep can we discount this? What can we give away for free? And not every organization has the ability to do that, right? Some direct-to-consumer brands have really slim product margins, profit margins, pardon me. Other brands just don't have a product that is able to be discounted because maybe it's a considered sale or a bespoke service or something along those lines. Thinking about ways that you can offer value outside of just discounting your product and sometimes in turn discounting your brand as a whole. You don't want to be viewed as a clearinghouse for merchandise in some situations. Really taking a look at what you can do is one of the main areas to focus. And I'm saying just don't default to an X% off. We see that whenever people are looking for where they're going to do their holiday shopping, yes, price is the number one indicator of where they're going to ultimately shop, but having a unique offering is right there second. Coupons and discount codes, again, another pricing thing, or third, but showing that you have availability of stock, that you have selection, that your products are unique. Maybe you have the same product as everybody else, but you can just find really good reviews on the products on your site. That's another opportunity to really focus on those things for the holiday and focusing on that messaging rather than having to discount your brand or your items or your services to where there's slim to no profit. Because we know that when it comes to discounts and promo codes, consumers expect a lot. If you're doing a promo code, you see that the majority of users, 51%, expect to see an offer of 26 to 50% off. And 21% of them want to see more than half off. It's like, what do you expect me to do? I'm going to give up all my profit margin and pay you to take some of this product if I'm cutting it by 50%, right? So if promos are the expectation that you're setting for your users, keep in mind that you can disappoint people with a discount. If it's not what they expect to see, if your brand can only withstand a 10 or a 15% discount, you're only meeting the expectations of 29% of individuals. So finding alternate ways to really get the most out of the holiday buying experience is something that you should consider, even beyond promo offers. So find what your angle is, figuring out how you can potentially bundle products and services, offer something of value that goes along with the service as a value add. Some of those things are opportunities for conversations that you can have ahead of the holiday. And you could do a lot of that through your blog, through your website content, and even through your social content. But be thinking creatively about how you can leverage your owned assets. I mean, the properties on the internet where you are not at the whim of a third party. Things like social media. We love social media. It's highly and incredibly effective. But at the end of the day, if Mark Zuckerberg says he doesn't like your content, your page is gone. And you've invested a lot of time and money into that, promoting that, spending ad dollars, and your source material is just all gone. So making sure that the home base for what you're doing is always your website and potentially your blog gives you the opportunity to leverage content in a way that you can't on some other platforms. And also, if you're doing things like email marketing, good emails for the most part will have some clear funnel back to your website where people can dig in and get more. Because obviously we can't stuff our email marketing with anything and everything from messaging that we want to communicate. So thinking about some of these different ways that we can leverage content like gift guides, product spotlights, blogs talking about items or services by user type, download spotlights and content of people using your product or service are all great ways that we can leverage our website content. And also be thinking about the landing pages where you're sending people ultimately, right? This isn't just advertising campaign landing pages. These are where your emails are pointing, where your social links are pointing, all of these types of ultimate destinations on your site. Be thinking about how you can do things differently rather than just landing them on an existing page of your website. Because at the end of the day, how far is that going to get you, right? Because the intent of a website page is not necessarily the same intent of landing someone from an ad campaign where we want them to convert or take an action really quick so they can enter a funnel. Making sure that if you have the opportunity, you are building custom landing pages for these efforts can really go a long way. So ideas like differentiating between landing pages where you put existing users and new customers. An example that I saw recently was I signed up for Fabletics and got their 2 for 24 workout shorts. Awesome. Well, now whenever I'm logged in, the shorts page is a completely different page than the landing page where I click on an ad promoting that offer now. I don't even see those same products in my logged in user state as I do from the ad campaign. And, they should be adding me to a negative list so I don't get those same ads now. But saying the existing versus new customer dynamic can be a powerful way to tailor an experience. And it's not incredibly hard to do because that's a pretty intuitive attribute that should be in your CRM or your automation tool. Custom categories, geolocalized landing pages, quick converting or squeeze pages where we're really trying to get them to take an action right away. And then laser keyword focus pages are all different ways that we can leverage our online properties. And while we're doing this, make sure that you're cluing in your team and your staff. Just because they're not in the marketing department doesn't mean that they don't need a brief on your campaign. Because I know nothing is more frustrating than your logistics team coming up to you and saying, hey, why are we having so many orders for these $3 tiny products? I'm out of bubble mailers, or everything that they're ordering is bulk. All of our order values are $300 or more. I don't have the bandwidth or the capacity for this. Lots of different concerns when it comes to that, but make sure that you clue in the team that is not directly involved in your marketing efforts too, because operationally you will save yourself a ton of headache that I've seen firsthand. And finally, before I throw it to Kennedy to talk about her favorite channel, make sure that right now, if I have one charge for you when we get off of this webinar, it's go and take a look at your measurement and your analytics planning and your tracking planning. Do that and get that solid right now, today, this week, no later than this month. Make sure that you have your tracking implemented, that the data that you're pulling in is clean and it's robust, and that you're doing it in a way that you are able to make decisions when the holiday rolls around and it is all hands on deck and we feel like we can't make any changes to any plans because we don't know what's really happening and we don't have the bandwidth to do it even if we did. Take out that guesswork and make sure that you have all of this stuff in place. And if you have any questions about this, I'm happy to chat with you independently, but make sure that all of this tracking stuff is in place and ready to go, because it's going to give you a good baseline for where your traffic and purchase habits and consideration funnels are now versus when we get into this crazy holiday season, and you can make some informed decisions based on all of that. So without further ado, I will throw it over to Kennedy to talk to us about email marketing.
Awesome. All right. What we've all been waiting for. I'm just kidding, but I've been waiting. All right. Next slide, Corey. All right. I'll start off with some stats here, just about 2020, the craziest year of all of our lives. So if you turn to digital marketing or email marketing specifically in 2020 to reach out to your customers, you were definitely not alone. The influence marketing platform saw a 177% increase in email send volume from 2019 to 2020. And the advertising and marketing industry won the award for overall email increase in send volume, going to 349% increase in send volume from 2019 to 2020, which is a pretty impressive shift. A lot of this came down to that so many companies, myself included, weren't really sure exactly how we were going to engage with our customers, and email just kind of became the backbone of digital marketing in 2020. Next slide, please. I want to focus on this graph from our partners at Validity because I think it really shows kind of the trends from last year on email marketing specifically. Looking at December and the end of November of 2019, you can see that holiday send volumes spiked just as they typically would. Then you see a pretty significant decline in email send volume and, apologies for my email notifications. Then you see a pretty significant decline in inbox volume in January, February, and March of 2020. And I think we were all kind of in the same spot at this point in the year. We didn't really know what we were going to send. We didn't know what was right to say. But once it was clear that we were going to be in our homes for the long haul around April of 2020, email send volume jumped back up to holiday send levels that were higher than the overall send volume in 2019. So it's pretty obvious that email became a channel that everybody was relying on pretty heavily throughout 2020, and then that continued into 2021. Next slide. So now that we kind of know where email is in the digital marketing world right now, I think it's important to decide why we should be using email marketing in our Black Friday strategies. So you can go ahead to the next one. So just as Corey said, I think it's really important to focus on things of yours that are your own, that you can own and you can control, and email marketing is one of those channels. So email really allowed you to control your messaging, your content, your design, your timing. All of this you can customize to fit your specific audience. And even though you are beholden to mailbox providers and different deliverability rules, which we will get to, overall, you really can control your own email marketing channel. Email also has the highest, Email also has the highest ROI when compared to other channels. And email is a preferred communication channel for people when they want to communicate with brands. So overall, it is definitely something worth using for Black Friday. So I really want to focus today on what we can be doing now. I know that Corey mentioned that really we should be thinking about Black Friday in the summer. Christmas in July is what I'm going to call it. So let's go ahead and talk about what we can start doing now as email marketers. So the first thing is kind of obvious, which is email capture. But I don't mean going out to the internet and downloading every list of subscribers that you can find. I mean growing your list the right way. And I think an interesting way to do this that I've been seeing all over my social recently is promoting the benefits of being on your email list through your social channels. I see a lot of stuff that's like swipe up to join my email list because see all these people that are tagging me that got this specific offer specifically from an email list, things like that. And I also think that automations are something that are really important that you should focus on now. If you are anything like me and have been in digital marketing for a while, then your Black Fridays are typically kind of a hectic day where you don't really get to enjoy yourself. And the Razorbacks play Mizzou on Black Friday every year, and I almost always miss that game. It's a very dramatic time. So to save yourself from that trouble, I would start working on your automations now and getting them all set and ready for the holidays. The first two that I think are really important are your welcome series, especially if you're growing your email list the correct way. I think it's important to set up an email series, not just a one-off email, that can allow you to turn customers from just a quick one-time purchase to a lifetime customer. So I think it's really important in a welcome series to first focus on setting expectations. And I'm a big whiskey drinker, so I've used this as an example, but I think this is a really great example because it sets expectations of what emails you're going to receive and when. And I think that's just a great way to start off a relationship. Then I think you should focus on account setup. So before you start batch and blasting people from your email list, I think it's important to let them choose what their preferences are, to finish setting up their account, just so you have all the data that you need to get them started on the right foot. And then a third email and a welcome email series, I think, is the fun one, and that should focus on brand awareness and just really turning that subscriber into a loyal customer to your brand specifically. And then I also think before Black Friday that you should focus on an abandoned cart series. On average, 70% of carts are abandoned, and this increases during the holidays because people are window shopping or they are putting a bunch of stuff into their cart to wait for a promotion later. Next slide. So next I want to talk about sender reputation. If anybody knows me, deliverability is my favorite topic, so I'm excited to talk about this. All right, so sender reputation, the secret thing that really can screw up any of your projections you have for 2021. And I think it really is important. It's something that you can start thinking about now, you can start thinking about early, especially with my first tip here, which is to kind of do a mini IP warming throughout the fall before Black Friday So you can gradually increase your volume throughout these next few months so you're ready for Black Friday send levels. And what I mean by this is, say your average send volume is you send a newsletter to 10,000 subscribers every Friday. And then suddenly on Black Friday, you want to send to your full file, which is 1 million subscribers. Well, that behavior is going to look particularly spammy, especially to mailbox providers like a Gmail or a Yahoo, who have their spam algorithms really tightened up for the holidays because so many people are sending so much mail. It also is helpful to your subscribers to start reminding them that they're on your email list early. You don't want to send them the first message they've gotten from you in 2 years on Black Friday. It just might put a bad taste in their mouth. And I think it's good to just start increasing gradually, especially now that we've learned that people start shopping in October. Might as well just go ahead and start getting things going. Next is a list cleanse. I think it's always important to list cleanse, and a lot of list cleanse services are focused on credits. And so if you're concerned about using a bunch of your credits, one thing I always tell people is to cleanse those on your list who have not engaged. So look at those on your list who maybe have not opened or clicked in the last 6 months and run those through a list cleanse before sending to them on Black Friday. It's also important to check on your suppression list. So this is your unsubscribes, your complaints, your bounces, and likely your marketing automation platform, like the Emfluence platform, is taking care of this for you. But it's always good to check on these and make sure they are working as intended so you don't get stuck with a bunch of bounces that are getting sent to you over and over, which can really damage your sender reputation and make it look like this meme that I made. I also think it's really important to create an engaged segment, or those who have engaged your messages in the last 30 days. And if you find that 30 days is too small of a segment, then you can expand that to 60 or 90 days. Really, I think it's important to have these users on hand, first of all, because they are likely people who have shopped with you before, and they've obviously engaged in the past, so their likelihood to convert is a little bit higher. But really, your sender reputation is based almost entirely on your opens and clicks. So if you start to see a decline in inbox placement rate, then shooting a note to your VIP list or your 30-day engaged customers can really help boost that sender reputation if you find yourself in a tight spot. And then during the holidays, just keep an eye on key metrics, as I hope you're already doing: your opens, clicks, complaints, unsubscribes, and bounces. If you see any major fluctuations in between now and the holidays, and especially during the holidays when things are a little bit stricter, you might want to pull back or kind of dig into what's going on. All right, next I want to talk about the fun part, email design. So this is one of my favorite memes when talking about this. Keep it simple, stupid. And I don't think any of you are stupid, but I do think that Black Friday is the time when us as marketers really want to show off. We want to go find the craziest email we've seen all year long and duplicate it and send this email with all this animation to our list for the first time, which they have never seen from us before. And sometimes that's just not the right thing to do. I think a lot of times for Black Friday, when the inbox is so cluttered and crazy, staying simple and authentic to your brand is the best way to go. So your first impression when getting to the inbox is your from name and your subject line. So I'll start with subject lines here. And I think I'll probably say authentic a few more times in this conversation, but I think staying authentic to your brand voice and your subject line, especially during the holidays, is very important. Just give yourself a little bit of personality, and really you will stand out just by being yourself as a brand. And one thing that I see every Black Friday that drives me crazy is super crazy trends like the reply and forward email subject lines, which may get you an amazing 50% open rate at the onset, but those subscribers will likely be a little bit annoyed that they weren't getting a reply or a forward and will not engage again. The importance of an owned email list is the longevity of that list, and you want to treat your subscribers how you would want to be treated. I also think it's important to personalize your email subject lines, because personalized emails are 26% more likely to be opened. And during the holidays, I personally am more likely to click on something with my name just because it seems like a more personalized experience. I also want to talk about from name. Black Friday is just not the time to send an email from your CEO, Jen, for the first time. You want to use an easily recognizable send name. That way the people can peruse through their holiday inbox and choose which brands they want to engage with or shop from.
Can
And
I
I'll
just
get to
make all of my emails from names come from Santa Claus?
well, that would get confusing. What if somebody else did that?
He works for everybody.
He does, that's true. So just as I said, keeping it simple with your designs doesn't mean you have to be boring, but I do think simple and personalized designs are really important. And obviously just keeping a clear call to action and purpose for each send. But I'll go to some examples on the next slide. So this first one from Canvas Pop is like the classic basic Black Friday email campaign. 40% off your entire order, save everything. There is a very clear CTA, and the subject line that came with this had the 40% off in the subject line as well. So it's just really clear and honestly very effective. But if you want to go the brand personality route, you can look at this example from Chubby's from Black Friday last year, I believe. And this one is super timely, and it makes me laugh every time because they're saying, hey, you ate the whole turkey yesterday. Don't you wish that you had some comfortable pants on right now? And they're right. And so I think this is particularly effective because it's so timely, and this likely was sent to people who were most likely to order these shorts before. And so this can be really highly segmented as well, which I think is just really excellent. And there's something to focusing on one product instead of multiple that kind of streamlines the process and makes it a little bit less intimidating for shoppers. All right, and the conclusion for email, really let's just reflect and refresh and calm down because I know we're all panicking thinking about Black Friday marketing. But really just ask yourself these 3 questions. What went well last year? So looking at your metrics from last year and kind of reflecting on them, what subject lines and what time of day, on and on, was really effective for your subscribers? Maybe try that again this year. Also, what didn't go well last year, and I think this applies to your subscribers, but also applies to yourself. So you can say, okay, I was up all night before Black Friday, and I know that that didn't go well. So this year I'm going to focus on my automations beforehand. And then also, what did your competitors do last year that you really liked? If you're like me, you've signed up for every possible competitor and you look at all of their emails all the time. And I think it's important to see what they did last year that you liked and what you thought would have been really effective that you feel like you missed out on, and do that in 2021. And overall, just monitor key metrics over vanity metrics. If you have an email that has a 50% open rate, but it only converted 10 people, well, then it may not really be that great of a campaign. Focus on the things that really push the needle for your business, and don't just focus on things that make you as the marketer look really good.
That's awesome. Such truth there. We, especially in the holidays, we get distracted by a lot of shiny metrics that really don't, end up boiling down to real business growth. So keeping your eyes on the real prize is definitely important, not only for email, but across the board. Thanks for that, Kennedy. All awesome tips that we can incorporate immediately. So let's talk about a few other channels, starting with the ever elusive and tough to understand, impossible to master, but very important search engine optimization. So like we mentioned previously, 54% of all consumers use web search to research their holiday shopping decisions. That's more than any other mechanism other than browsing online retailers, which came in at 63%. But a lot of times as marketers, since SEO can sometimes be so ethereal, so hard to grasp, so technical, we make a lot of assumptions, and we overlook a lot of things. So let's hit a few of these that you can really focus on now and in the coming months and get some optimizations going so you're in a good place when the holidays really start to ramp up. So the first is taking a look, if you're an e-commerce brand, taking a look at your page, product page priorities. So making sure that everything that is on your product page is updated, it is technically sound, it is factual. And remember, if you're an e-commerce brand, I've seen it time and time again, you have hundreds or thousands or millions of SKUs on your site. You created this product 2 years ago and it's been a bestseller, so you kind of just set it and forget it. And you don't revisit the bones of that product page, going back and taking a look at those, especially the ones that are gaining a lot of traffic, is super important for the holiday season rolls around, because there might be specs that are different. If you're in apparel, the makeup of the materials might be different. And that's really important to people whenever they're shopping and they care about the specifics. But also taking a look and making sure that all of your products are internally linked to related products or categories can help keep that, that browsing session alive. Making sure that in the right places, the pricing and promotions are updated. I've seen also many times where a site will advertise 30% off everything, and there's an entire category that's been accidentally left out when it comes to checking that checkbox in the back end of the e-commerce platform and applying that promo code. Just making sure that you're delivering on what you say that you will. And including ratings and reviews if at all possible, because not only does that help instill, trust in the user, but they are actually pulled into the search engine results page in a lot of circumstances. From a local perspective, making sure that you please make sure your address and hours of operation are correct for the holidays, because there is nothing more frustrating than me knowing, okay, I've got these days that I can go in and grab this thing. Awesome. I see they're open till 9 o'clock and I get there and they closed at 8. I'm not going back. Making sure that your info is up to date, not only on your site, but everywhere in your local listings, in your Google My Business, in your Bing Places, in your Yelp, in your everything. Make sure that that is accurate and up to date, because nothing will lose a customer faster than if they try to shop with you, but they can't because you're closed. Also, having information regarding when the last day to order for shipping or local pickup is, it can create a sense of urgency and really push people to finish that purchase. But also, it's just good to let people know what your parameters are, because if I order on December 10th, I'm expecting that it's going to be there for Christmas or for whatever holiday you celebrate. And if it's not, you're not meeting that user expectation, because in my mind, that's plenty of time to get it to me. But logistically, that might not be the case. And here's a little feature that not a lot of people know exists, but it's called posts, and it's in your Google My Business page. Whenever you search for a business by name and you see the Google My Business result that comes up on the right side in the right bar on desktop, you can actually add what are kind of like little mini blogs or status updates, where you have a small amount of space to publish an announcement or some information. And taking advantage of those is really important, because then you're showing that additional information right there in the search engine results page. And I'm sorry for this GIF that just keeps on a looping. I thought it was going to play 3 times and stop, but you get to see Jennifer Lawrence cringe 1,000 times. Don't we all love that? Again, another tip, if you're an e-commerce brand, focusing on your category pages. I know the product page is the big attractive page where we want to get people, but category pages are often overlooked, and they are a prime landing page for search. It's great for people who are considering in the consideration stage and weighing their options, because they are not searching for the Amazon Echo T-3794321 that your product page is optimized for. They are looking for smart home assistants or, things of that nature. So make sure that your category pages are updated and accurate and optimized for search, that they're indexable. Another idea for the holidays is creating custom stories based on different bundlings, things like user needs, other, just any of these other factors outside of just it's a similar product. And then tailoring landing pages. It can be really effective to create multiple landing pages for different audiences that have very similar content, but making sure that you are either allowing or disallowing those pages to be indexed for organic search is going to be important, because you don't want 20 pages where the only difference in that page is the heading that's saying gifts for dad, gifts for new dads, gift for X, Y, and Z. all of these things that you might be targeting elsewhere, but you're creating duplicate content, which is not great for search. Make sure that you are handling those in the appropriate way. Bye, Jennifer. It's good to see you. Moving on to social media. We've got to think bigger than just posting on Facebook. There's so much more to life than Facebook posts and organic content being posted to Facebook. But it is still an important part in the consideration journey. 21% of users start on social when they're trying to figure out what they are going to purchase for the holidays. It's kind of a weird place to start, in my opinion, because you really are probably following a brand already. Their search is not super intuitive for unguided exploration, you might say, but a lot of people are really starting with social as their spark point. And social is more than just Facebook. People are using Pinterest for these things. People are searching hashtags on Instagram and on Twitter. A lot of discovery and exploration is starting on social. So some things that you can do to stand out and maybe do things a little differently than you did last year is, one, focusing on Facebook and Instagram product catalogs. They are starting to push this really hard, where you create a catalog of products that is, in some cases, not all cases, shoppable from right there in the platform, meaning somebody can see your product for the first time, stay within Facebook and Instagram, and complete a purchase without ever leaving that platform. There are pros and cons to that. The pros are it's a seamless experience that keeps people in the channel where, they were expecting to be, and makes that, a little bit easier. But at the same time, there are cons to selling on social. It's sort of like whenever you sell on Amazon, where you get an order, but you don't necessarily get all of the user's information sent back to you to where you can create a customer profile based on that user. Whereas if we are guiding somebody to our e-commerce platform and they make a purchase, I'm creating a new entry in my customer database that I can use for future advertising and things like that. That's not the case whenever you do social selling in all formats. A lot of times you're getting forwarded over an order, and you might not get their email address or any of that other information that will let you continue that conversation. Rather, they want to make that a targetable attribute in the Facebook and Instagram ad platform, where it is, something like has purchased from your social store in the past is like a targetable attribute. So there are pros and cons to both, but at least having the option for people to browse while on social really goes a long way, because it opens up things like being able to tag products in posts and so on and so on. Not a new feature, but an underutilized feature. Also, don't count out Pinterest. There is a rabid fan base of Pinterest users that still use it to this day. Yep, Kennedy, I see you. There are things like shopping feeds and visual curations and collections, all kinds of great stuff, especially if you're a direct-to-consumer brand, but not only limited to direct-to-consumer. So if you are in a visually motivating industry, definitely consider Pinterest, at least as a way to drive additional holiday traffic to your ultimate destinations. And in doing all of this, please remember, be social, don't be salesy. Every single post that you put up on social should not be, check out this product. It is awesome. Buy it because it's on sale. Go. That is not what people go to social for. They go to engage with a brand. They go to have different connections with other fans of a brand. They also go to complain about a brand. So that my fourth point is, if you're on social, which we all are, you need to listen, you need to respond, and you need to be active on all of your channels during the holidays. Because if you're using it as just a broadcast mechanism, you're already, behind the eight ball there. People will use your feed and your inbox as a way to access customer support. They will message you and say, hey, I'm checking on order number X, Y, and Z. They will say, hey, I got this and it was torn to shreds, or USPS destroyed this package. they're going to use your social channel inboxes for that. So make sure that you are monitoring those inboxes. I always say, if the inbox exists, it better be monitored. And you better not have an unmonitored inbox, especially with email, because that especially grinds my gears, to borrow the phrase. But if you have an inbox, you need to monitor it, and especially do that on social, because you can get made or broken during the holidays on social media. Paid media, another big consideration. I could do 6 different presentations just on approaches for paid media, but in all, we saw almost a 1,000% increase in engagement with Black Friday messaging last year compared to year over year. And I know we were all in a digital hole at that time, but still, that growth is unbelievable. So there's some ways that we could take advantage of this increase in eyes. And the first place I would say is Google and Bing search ads. And first of all, if you're already snickering at including Bing here, you're missing out. Bing has a great user audience. They are smaller, but they are in a lot of ways more active and closer to a conversion than some Google audiences. I've seen lots of direct-to-consumer brands, their bread and butter is Bing search. Go figure. You need to figure out where your users are. But some ways that you can capitalize on that are standing up campaigns that target the phrase Black Friday deals if you're running Black Friday deals. But you also need to make sure that you layer in some audience data to kind of pare down that available pool of clicks, because that cost can add up really fast. But you could see a lot of success if you have a unique product that is on sale and it's something different that people haven't seen, by targeting keywords centered around people doing the absolute highest level of exploration at the time. Making sure that your ad copy is tailored, talking about your advantages and what people can gain from shopping with you, are really great. There's lots of ways you can add extensions for additional call outs. Even including your promo codes in the ad copy itself. Lots of great things you can take advantage of there. And then, of course, using Google Shopping ads and Bing Shopping ads too, where you create a feed from your e-commerce platform and push that directly into the search engine. And you'll show up in prominent ways on the search engine results page. People can click right through your products, and it's very visual. Display and programmatic also has its place. Building general awareness leading up to the holidays, super important and can be super impactful. Fill that funnel with people at the exploration phase, and you can use those audiences for retargeting for now until Google does away with third-party cookies. Eventually, they say the end of next year now, so we'll see what happens between now and then. And then dynamic ads, we've all been retargeted, with display ads of the product that we had in our cart and we didn't purchase. Those are super, create another touch point that is fairly easy to set up. And finally, let's talk really quick about social advertising. Number one, first and foremost, if you're present on social, I always recommend having a boosting budget for your content that you're posting, just to make sure that you are getting some reach with the fans that like your page. I won't go as far to say that organic social is dead, but it certainly needs some help. And even the most engaged of pages really only reach a small fraction of their entire audience. So put some budget behind that, just to make sure that your message is getting out there wide is important. Consider driving people to Messenger as the ad destination. If you have a product that costs a little bit more, or it's service centric, or it takes longer for people to make a decision, running ads where you can drive people directly to connect with somebody with support or sales, or even a chat bot through your ads can be super effective, because it's low commitment. People know that it's not like committing to getting a phone call or even getting you in their email inbox. This is a really good, easy destination to land people that can keep a conversation going. And we already mentioned the social shopping ads. Those creatives can be used in advertising, but again, your mileage may vary with that approach because it has its pros and cons. Woo! So let's summarize it. We've got a few months to go before the holidays get here. So some things that I would like for you to walk away with are: start now, try new things, and measure the results. Get your analytics and your tracking set up right now. Be adventurous and run some tests and try some new things. Try new ad formats. Try new formats for the content that you post. Do some new things, but do them now so they're not out of character when the holidays roll around, and see what really works. I tell people, prepare for the worst, expect the best, but then also prepare for better than expected, because the last thing that you want to do is run out of inventory of a hot seller. You end up with logistics issues because you're just bogged down with orders. Your site gets hugged to death, like we mentioned. Making sure that you have contingencies for if this works really well or this doesn't work at all, just so you're not stuck being surprised. Having those contingency plans are super important. And also today, especially with the way that COVID is still in flux and people have varying degrees of comfort getting out and about, digital brands need to replicate that in-store experience that you get when you shop in a brick and mortar. And then in-store establishments need to mirror the convenience of digital. And no matter where you fall in that spectrum, curbside and buy online, pick up in store is here forever. I know I, as a consumer, will never let go of being able to order and pick something up curbside. You might try whenever we fully reopen again, but so help me God, if I can vote with my dollars, we are keeping curbside and buy online, pick up in store, because it is so convenient. And you have to think about how you can make that overall experience better. And doing something like this ties in both the digital and the brick and mortar side, where you're actually getting somebody to your location, even if they're not going inside. It's a good in-between ground. And finally, the child tax credit started hitting today. All you parents out there, if you have kids, you probably got something from Uncle Sam in your checking account right now. So keep in mind, as we go into the holidays, these tax credits are going to keep continuing to hit people's bank accounts until the end of the year, at least, if I remember correctly. So that's up to $300 per child. So parents are going to have some additional buying power this holiday season that they could potentially spend now. If your messaging is on point and you're getting ahead of the game, you can encourage people to get that shopping done early while they have some extra funds in their pocket. Now, I'm not saying be predatory and take advantage of that by any means, but we know that there is an influx of cash hitting people's bank accounts, and keeping that in mind, that we saw revenue grow last year. We can probably expect it to grow this year because it's grown every year except for 08, and an 08 situation we are not in. So expect growth this year, expect the best. Do what you can to get ahead of the game. Do it now. Try new things, measure it, be adventurous, listen to your customers first and foremost, and deliver on your brand promise, even if stuff around you is kind of crazy right now. I promise brand loyalty does still exist, but you've got to deliver on those promises. And that's all I got. Kennedy, any parting wisdom for our audience here?
Hey, I would just say get started today so you can enjoy your holidays and get that sender reputation under wraps. Do it now. It takes forever for those things to change. So just get started today.
Yep, for sure. And if you guys want to keep the conversation going, this is where you can find Kennedy and myself via email. Shoot us a message. We're happy to reply. If you need help with your own programs, again, contact us at emfluence.com. Send us an email, send a form submission. We'd be happy to chat with you. And you will all receive some follow-up emails from this webinar. And we've got a great white paper that goes into some more details of this that you can check out on our website as well. Kennedy, I'll toss it to you for your goodbyes, but that's all we've got for you today. Thank you all for sitting in. I know we appreciate it, especially on a Thursday right now.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And until next time, we will see you all later. Have a good one. I hope you got something great out of this. Bye, guys.
Bye.